What's up, everybody? It is your girl, Midnight. Happy Hump Day. Y'all see that title? It says awareness, awareness, awareness. And this is a serious one. So we finna get really serious on here, but it's still bringing forth awareness, though. Because, this is just what I do. No matter who's on or not, I'm going to come forth with what I want to come forth with and how I'm going to come forth with it. Because a lot of people are misinformed. A lot of people definitely are not educated enough on this here topic, and I can tell. So this is why we're gonna go through things like myths that's associated to this, and we're gonna go about the top because it's easier for people who never been through this to say what they would have, could have, or would have did. First of all, if you're not ever or never ever been a victim of it, you would not be able to tell somebody else who's victimized about it how to move. You know what I'm saying? But this is why people need to be aware. And this is why this is called awareness, 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 okay? Because a lot of people are very misguided, misinformed. They don't know. This life right here is going to be able to pertain to whomever it relates to. It's not to a particular person. It's for persons with an S. So anybody who can relate to it, or anybody who been through it, or maybe you've been through it, maybe you know somebody who been through it, and maybe you got a friend that been through it, a colleague that been through it. That's just what it is. It's relatable to people, and it's informative, okay? This is what I'm going to say. This is the kind of flavor I bring because I am very, very, very aware of certain topics, and I think that everybody else needs to be just as aware. So let me stop my music right there. This here topic is going to be talking about rape. We're going to be talking about rape. We're going to be bringing facts that relates to rape, molestation, being inappropriately touched, okay? Because it seems like a lot of people don't really understand. It seems like a lot of people are blind to the facts of the signs. Or it seems like because a person don't speak fast enough for you, or because you're look from the outside looking in and they don't speak fast enough for you, you trying to tell a person how they supposed to feel, or why they didn't move and speak fast enough. So since they didn't do it, it just didn't happen. That's not true. We all know that's to be true, or some of y'all don't. Some of y'all some, I'm sorry, dummies. We got to call it what it is. This is why I bring forth lives like this. You know what I'm saying? To help a person who lack knowledge, help you out in the area. Because it's like I said, a lot of people look from the outside. You're an outsider looking in. And if this don't pertain to you, it's very easy for you to say to somebody who's been victimized, you will say, well, why didn't you tell XYZ when it started happening to XYZ? When you don't know the feelings or emotions that come with being victimized, because you've never been in their shoes, you've never been in the situation, you've never been molested, you've never been touched, you've never been raped. So it's easy for you to say that to somebody who's been victimized. This is what I'm saying. Let me go down into my comment section and start greeting some folks. How you doing, Miss Camille? She says, hey, beautiful. Hey, how are you? Miss Jackie, how are you? Yep, some people are blaming the children and not the adults. But those are people who are very much so not educated, clearly, on molestation, rape, or inappropriate touching. Because how can you blame a child for being inappropriately touched by an adult? I mean, does that even sound right coming out of my mouth as the way I just stated it? How can a child be at fault for being inappropriately touched by a whole adult? That don't even sound right now, do it? As I said, we're going to be going through some myths, which is, you know what a myth is, don't you? A myth ain't nothing but a rumor or something that's not to be true. And then we're going to be going towards facts, okay? So we're going to be going through some slides that are associated to sexual abuse, that are myths versus facts. And let's also make mention too that a lot of you are very dumbfounded to the fact that you don't know that sexual being sexual molested and inappropriately touched sexually does not happen right up under your own damn family and noses with the people that you definitely are very familiar with, the ones that your family members may trust. It's commonly happening within families, okay? And we all do know that, or you should know that. This is what I'm saying. You know damn well I come with the facts with the slide, so we're going to be going through some myths and facts. I definitely have some videos to show you, definitely to co-sign with what the fuck I'm saying. I think this is very serious, and not enough people talk about things like this. But see, this is what I'm going to continue to bring forth because it affects you in a whole lot of different areas: your mental, relationships. It traumatized folks to where they don't even want to live normal lives. And we can't really blame them because of you don't know the extensive events of what they have to go through with the predator. These are your family members. I don't care who the hell it is. It is a mother or a father. It is your sister or brother. It is your friend. It is your cousins. It is your colleagues, because it can be at work as well. You know what I'm saying? It just don't happen in the home life. You know, some people are sexually assaulted on their jobs. See, this is why I said a lot of people need to become more aware, educated. This is what I'm here for. You need to be more educated and aware because clearly you lost. You know what I'm saying? Some of y'all are victims because you listening to this, and this is why you're gonna be able to pertain to it because you've been a victim, okay, and you struggle within on how to move forward or go through a healing journey in your life. Some of y'all know folks who've been through that in their life. Some of y'all have friends that been through that in their life, colleagues that been through that in their life, and you just see what it does to people, okay? This is what you see. I'm doing good, just relaxing, okay? Everybody is speaking. How you doing, Miss Chantel? She say. How you doing, Augusta? I didn't see Nene on this live. Is she here? I don't see Nene here. Um, so this is what this live gonna be about. This live gonna be about straight up some of the things you hear that's pertaining to sexual abuse that's myths. So a myth is nothing more than something that's not true. It's something that you hear often out here. It's like a rumor. You know, rumors are not to be true. So myths will coincide with something like a rumor versus facts. Okay. So when you see my slides, you're going to see something that's also going to show you a myth, but you're also going to see a fact. Okay. We also have slides and videos of a real life person who's dealt with sexual molestation with her own father, stepfather at that. Okay. With the mother having knowledge about it. Let me also make note of that. A lot of y'all think because a person chooses to be with a predator, that means that a family member does not believe the victim. That's not true. It's just some low down, dirty people in life that choose to be with predators. Even with having knowledge that they know that this person is doing XYZ to XYZ, they still will choose. That does not mean that the victim is a liar. That does not mean that that shit did not happen. That just simply means that the guardian or the guardian of that person is failed them because you know of the events. Because another thing about victims is they're going to be very detailed and explicit on a lot of things. They are never going to forget that. They are not going to ever forget the chain of events of what it is he or she had to endure with a predator. They will be able to be very detailed. They're not going to forget. So when you have somebody come and telling you something in detail, that explicit, and you choose to lay up with a predator, you fail your own damn child. Not saying that that person is a liar. You got to understand that does not mean that that person's not telling truths. It just means that you have sick parents out here or sick guardians that would choose a predator over their child or whomever they're raising. That's just what that means. And that's just simple. This kind of subject actually makes me very angry and mad because, see, with what I'm hearing, a lot of people is saying on the internet as far as it goes to any kind of victims. I can't believe some of the things that I hear come out of grown folks' mouths, and half of y'all are motherfucking victims. Or half of y'all motherfucking people in your family, they've been victimized. If it ain't you, it might be your child. You seem like y'all might be some of those parents to condone the mess. You know, so when you be with a predator, it's because you condone predator activity. That's just what that means. Not saying that the activity did not happen or the activity did not occur. That's not what it's saying. It just means that you're a person that will prefer to lay up with somebody who you know is mistreating, mishandling your child sexually. And you know it and you have the knowledge about it. That's just simply what that means. Oh, you were calling me my name. Yeah, because girl, yeah, Nene is my name, but I'm thinking you talking about Nene Mommy, honey. Midnight and Nene is my name. You didn't go right, but nobody calls me Nene on here. Only the people that really know me call me Nene. But yeah, that is a nickname of mine. How you doing, Miss Ebony and Miss Alicia? It's like this subject is so sensitive to me. And it's only sensitive to me because I actually know a couple of people who I know personally that have been through it, so I can relate to them. I don't have to be a person that have to ever went through that. See, like I said to y'all on my other live, I'm a person of empathy. See, I think a lot of people need to know the definition of what empathy really means. Empathy is a person who can actually place him or herself in someone else's shoes, not ever living that life, but you still understand what that does to a person, how that makes them feel. That's empathy. That's what I display. So I don't never have, I'm a person that has never been through molestation, a person that never been through going as a rape victim, never been molested, never been misappropriately touched sexually, never been raped. But however, I can still relate to somebody who has and how that may make them feel. See, I'm not that out of the box. That's a person who knows how to show some type of form of empathy where you could place yourself in their shoes, not even living the lifestyle that they lead or live. What type of parent will allow this to happen to the child and watch them suffer? Many of them. That's not uncommon. Okay, that's the point I'm trying to make. That's not uncommon. No, it's not. There's a lot of people who's very much in the known when you hear of molestation happening right within your own damn families and nobody is expressing themselves and they all know what's going on. That's because they're trying to keep shit up under the rugs. That's condoning it. That's many of adults knowing what's going on, but none of them chose to open their mouth just because of who the person is. Just because of who the person is itself. Everybody will sweep that shit right up under a rug. Okay? It's very much so not uncommon. There's a lot of fathers, mothers, grandmothers, sisters, brothers that would allow that shit to happen because they know about it. But like I said, because of who the person it is, they don't want to believe it. And you know that's to be the truth. So they feel like this person is a liar who's telling them this information. They discredit the information told to them and they're not receiving it. And they won't speak on it. It will be a secret kept to them till they go to the grave. Okay? They won't even mention that shit to nobody. That's how a lot of them rock. You used to hear about motherfucking people being molested with strangers doing the molesting. So these will be people you don't even fucking know, people that you haven't even fucking seen. Right now, what the statistics say is that this shit is happening right up under your nose in your same households. That's what it's saying. And that's the true fact. It's right within your motherfucking family, your bloodline. Folks who you looked at to be like bloodline folks to you. It's happening with those individuals. And so think of a child or even adult. Think of somebody who's trying to go actually open up themselves and how they trying to tell now because of, the things that they're going through. They're sick of it. So think of them, imagine them going to one of their relatives, telling them this shit here is taking place or it has been taking place for XYZ amount of years or months or however. They don't believe them. Because they're going to be saying some foolery ass shit that most people say. Why you didn't tell when it started happening? Because it's a lot of emotions that they go through. And fear being the biggest one. Okay? Fear being the biggest one that most rape victims and people of molestation go through. The fear of being threatened, the fear of trying to protect the predator, the fear of being hurt by the predator, their family, loved ones around them being hurt by the predator. They're trying to even still protect the monster in some type of fucking way. So it'd be out of fear as to why they don't speak. It'd be all of the different emotions that they go through as to why they don't speak. They tend to go through different behavior patterns and things change with them as to why they don't speak because it affects them that way. Their mental health take a deep dive downhill. It's those kind of things for me. That's why people don't speak right away. Hell, you got some motherfucking people that's living as adults right now that has been through sexual molestation as a kid and ain't told no damn body. They trying to battle that shit on their own right now, and they can't really handle it because they don't know who to trust, even who to talk to. They feel like a person is going to laugh at them because now they are an adult, and if they decided to open up, now people are going to actually question if it in fact happened to him or her because you are adult now and you never said anything. But it's just the way that this person makes them feel, the thing that they had to go through. It's how they make them feel. How you doing, Miss Latifah? Why would anyone stay with a sexual predator? What kind of mindset do they have? That's what happens. This person right here, this real life lady that I'm gonna show y'all, her mother's not the first one, and she won't be the last. It's a lot of people do that. A lot of them, sick-minded. They have knowledge, they know about it, yet they still choose to lay around predators and put other people in harm's way, other children. It happens every day. Every day. Okay? It's a lot of woulda, coulda, shouldas as to why I say a lot of people need to, from the outside looking in, if you ain't never been in this situation and you are dealing with somebody who has been through that situation, you have to be very delicate. You have to be very patient. That's a delicate piece of a person you're dealing with, just based off of their trauma alone. That. So you have to be very delicate to their situation. You got to be. I know a few women who are married to a child predator. I don't understand the way of thinking, their way of thinking. Yeah, it's very sad. And when someone tells you something like that in private, it should remain in private. So many on the internet want to dish out stuff when they are not cool no more. Like people are sick and nasty. But no, it's not really about the internet. This is awareness. I don't care what they're doing on the internet. See, a lot of people of the internet is not educated. This is why I'm here. A lot of folks of the internet can't be educated. This is why I'm bringing it forth. I know you're not, based off your statements that you make or the way that you think. So this is for the people of the internet, and this is for people to share to somebody else. Because, like I said, this may be victims coming across here, and they already know that it's going to be the real. Okay. Some of these people that's listening to this live, or that's going to be listening into this live, are victims themselves, or they are a person who knows somebody who's been through it on another level. But do you know how to actually cater to somebody who's been sexually molested or raped? Do you know how to console him or her? Do you know how to have a conversation with him or her without offending them, and to let them know that you're here for them rather than you point the finger or blame them for what happens to them? You got to know that. This is what Midnight is helping somebody out with today. This is for anybody. That's hella sad, disturbing, and unfortunate. It is. How you doing, Miss Donna? Thank you for the share. Thank you for them avatars. Everybody speaking. Those individuals that allow that to happen should be deemed sexual predators too, for allowing it to happen. In some cases it is, some cases it's not. But I truly agree. LaShante, is your name LaShantai or LaShante? She says facts. So you got to understand, I can't get with adults like that. I'm sorry. Like I said, I never been through this on a personal note, but being a case manager and having to work with people like that, and me knowing some people who actually been through that for real, I have sympathy and I empathize with them. I'm not going to say, well, why didn't you say this sooner? And just because they didn't say it sooner, don't mean that it just did not happen. Nah. If you think with that kind of mindset, that just shows me what kind of mindset and how short minded you really are. That means you do not have an abstract mind. That means you do not have a broad mindset at all. That means you have a brain or a mindset as small as a mustard seed. It's very little. Okay, it's very small. It's very little. Because that has absolutely nothing to do with somebody being a victim. Now, does it? Nothing at all. So I don't really understand that statement as to why people even ask that. That's not the right way to start. That's not the right way to start off a conversation when you're speaking to somebody, when they bringing that kind of information forth to you in confidence because they feel like they trust you. And then the first thing you say, you're not listening to understand, you only listening to respond. So the first thing you say is the wrong thing. Well, why didn't you? 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 That's not what you're supposed to be fucking saying. It's definitely not true. It's almost like you're trying to almost revert that as if they caused what happened to happen to them, as if it's their fault. It's not. Again, it's a lot of shit that comes with it. Okay. You can never blame the child for what happened to them. It's not their fault ever. They are truly victims. But some people like to do that. Some people like to make this a blame thing, a blame game, playing that reverse psychology on somebody, mind games with people. That's not the way you deal with folks that deal with trauma. That's not the way you approach trauma in people. It's not the way. Okay? It sucks when it happens to you as a kid in foster care and it was the family you were living with. When you speak up and tell the caseworker about it, they failed you and keep you in that house, and then you get hurt for speaking up. In some cases, yes, you're right. Now, this is what I'm finna do. We're finna start off with, because this is pertaining to sexual abuse, rape, molestation. I'm here bringing forth some awareness to you, okay? For the ones who lost out here, so that when you approach another, you know how to approach him or her right when you are talking to somebody who's been through it. Because, see, if your approach is wrong, then you can just offend a person altogether, okay? And approach does matter. Your conversation and how you hold it, it does matter, okay? When you are talking to victims of that level of trauma, that do matter. And it's a big component. It's major. Trust me. And if you think you're going any other way, you're not going to get the kind of information that you want from them, and they're damn sure not going to fucking speak to you. If not, they may go off on you because they may feel like you are very inconsiderate of their feelings, of what it is that they've been through. They don't like to be made to look like liars when they, who want to wake up and just come out with a story. Just think about it. Who would want to actually wake up and just go tell somebody a lie like that? When, hold on, there are some people that do lie. I'm not saying everybody who open up their mouth and claim rape or molestation is being honest. That's definitely what I'm not saying. But it's, if you feel like there's some holes in the stories or some holes in the pockets, this is where you ask additional questions or get more in depth. Okay. Not saying that everybody is honestly truthful, because you got some people that have lied on folks. Okay. But when you find holes or discrepancies in a person's story, you want to get more in depth still. You understand? You still want to find yourself in more depth, getting in depth, asking the proper questions, necessary questions that you need to fill the holes or the discrepancies. But what motherfucker in their right mind is going to wake up and actually want that kind of trauma on them to where they are asking for that to happen to them when they know what kind of trauma that causes to people and what it does to people? What motherfucker want that kind of treatment? What motherfucker want to be scared to go to bed at night? What motherfucker want to be scared to be around somebody who they thought supposed to be protecting them? Because these are your family, these are your loved ones, these are your friends, people you trust the most. What motherfucker want to actually wake up and be in a situation like that and say, "Oh, I just want to be molested today, or I want to be misappropriate, I want to be touched inappropriately today, I just want to be raped today"? Who waking up to wanting that kind of motherfucking behavior? That type of treatment. Nobody ain't doing that. Nobody in their right mind. I've seen this happen too. Exactly. How you doing, Miss Aura? Good evening, midnight, and everyone on the live. Who actually waking up to saying, "Oh, I want that to be me today"? Who doing that? That weird shit. That's weird. Who actually wanting that kind of behavior to happen to them? No one. How you doing, Miss Wanda? Miss Melissa, she says, "Hello, midnight." Good advice, very spoken. Yes, I mean, we got to talk about it because it is serious. And whether motherfuckers want to hear it or not, I'm still going to talk about it because it is a problem in most families. It's a major problem. Honey, you're going to get the what you need today if you're clueless as to how to move and talk to those kind of people. They delicacies. You understand me? Them kind of people who deal with that kind of trauma, they are delicate. Trust and believe me. There's a certain way you have to interact with them. There's a certain way you got to be able to talk to them if you want them to open up and talk to you. But what I find the sad part about it is when they do find trust in somebody, they don't believe them because they feel like, "Oh, you didn't speak soon enough, so I don't believe that this ever happened to you. I can't believe that this was going on because you took too long to speak." Well, you're just an outsider looking in, so you don't understand because it's not you. Maybe if it was you, and maybe if you were a victim of rape, or maybe if you were a victim of molestation, then you probably will understand another motherfucker. But it shouldn't even have to take that. That's my point. It shouldn't even have to take that. This is a deep, sensitive topic, midnight, that most don't like to touch, that society ought to be touching on. But see, that's what I like to bring forth on my platform. I'm different than the rest. I'm more about awareness, and I'm more about educating somebody if need be. Okay. That's just what it is. And so when we look at today, oh, you're gonna get educated, especially with these videos and these stories, because this is somebody's life, a real life individual. Okay. It's not nothing make believe. How you doing, Miss Jennifer? She says, hello, midnight and everyone. It's nothing make believe about it. Okay. This is actually somebody who's a survivor of it. Happened to him as a child. This is a woman, a grown woman herself now with her own children, but it still did affect her though. You know what I'm saying? And she found ways of finding ways to cope. And maybe this will be a idea to somebody else who goes through it that comes across my platform and listen. Because again, it is for anybody. Good afternoon, midnight at Joanne's Gifted Hands. How you doing? It's for anyone. So I'm gonna stop right there. Let's get off into the slides. I always put these things together, okay? So we're talking about sexual abuse. So this is the definition of sexual abuse. Sexual abuse or sexual abuse is abusive sexual behavior by one person upon another. It is often perpetrated using physical force or by taking advantage of another. It often consists of persistent patterns of sexual assaults. The offender is referred to as a sexual abuser, and that is the meaning of sexual abuse. Okay. So it is sexual behaviors displayed by one person to another with using physical force, a person being taken advantage of from one person to another, and persistent sexual patterns happens all the time during sexual abuse. So you might start off with one smaller act, which means that they're inappropriately touching you first, and they will start doing shit like that first. Then that shit will trickle down to them going inside of your clothes, touching your genitals or your buttocks area. Then that shit will move from something from that nature to them almost making you put your mouth on them in an orally manner. Then it might move from that to them physically, sexually molesting you with penetration. That is the definition of sexual abuse. Okay. How you doing, Miss Heather? She said that part, bring it. Okay, I am. How you doing, Miss Juicy Redbone Robertson? I am. I'm definitely gonna bring it. Hello, Midnight at Joanne's Gifted Hands. It's not only men doing it, it's women too. It's sad and sickening. That's why I say it. And 90% it's families. It's just brings me to tears or bring tears to my eyes. I cry every time I watch a movie. The movie Precious is terrible. Yeah. Of course, and that's a myth. A lot of people, that's what you said. You see what you just said? That's part of a myth, like where a lot of people think that it's just men. Nope. That's why I said predators could be your mother, father, sister, brother, auntie, uncle, nieces, nephew, grandma, grandpa, your neighbors, your colleagues, whether they male or female. It could be either. They don't just come in the form of a male. You're definitely right about that. Empathy is lacking at times with people who haven't been through such things, but that shouldn't be. That shouldn't be. Yep, I was 15 when it happened to me by my ex-boyfriend. And you know what that does to you, right? And you know how that makes you feel. So you see the definition of sexual abuse. Okay. Again, sexual abuse or sex abuse is abusive sexual behavior by one person upon another. It's often perpetrated using physical force or by taking advantage of another. It often consists of persistent patterns of sexual assaults, and the offender is referred to as a sexual abuser, a predator, a monster, those terms you hear. Okay? Just like that. Now we finna get off into the myths versus the facts. So these are some of the things you heard as myths. And then there's going to be a factual statement right up underneath that myth. Okay. And I have a few slides of this, and then we're going to get off into some videos. Okay. And then I created a little video of my own using just like pictures of people who's probably been through sexual molestation or rape, just using pictures and using pictures that got affirmations in there to encourage somebody who's ever been through sexual molestation or rape. Okay. With the number in the website, if you ever need it, because like I said, I don't know who this is going to touch, but whoever comes through here, and if they're suffering in silence, because like I said, somebody might be suffering in silence right now as a kid, a teenager, youth member, or you may be an adult still struggling within, and you're going to have the number, the hotline, or the website that you can use and talk to people. These are real life people. They will give you resources within your area. Some of this are free, even certain sessions of therapy be free, you know what I'm saying, where they can get you the help you need if you still suffering within, or if you're a person that's suffering in silence because you don't know who to trust. You don't know who you want to open yourself up to or make yourself available to because you don't trust people, and that's quite understandable. But you're going to have the information as to reaching out by phone or website, okay? It happened to me from September, or it happened to me from a stepfather from the age 4 years old. See, you see how some of y'all, already, talking on it all like that. So you already know how that shit makes you feel, right? Now let's go to the side, the first one. So this is, let me take that comment down too. So these are myths slash facts regarding sexual child abuse, okay? Or child sexual assault, which is child abuse sexually, okay? So the myths and the facts about child sexual abuse is this. It says the myths are in bold writing, and it says only strangers sexually abuse strangers. That's a lie, because we know that only strangers are not being the ones only sexually molested. As a matter of fact, like I stated before in the early beginning of my life, that used to be a thing where you would hear about a lot of strangers kidnapping kids, sexually abusing them through kidnapping, okay? Where a lot of kids were being kidnapped by strangers. This is when you were telling your children that, listen, you don't talk to strangers, you don't take candy from strangers, you don't do XYZ with strangers, because at one point in time, strangers were targeting other strangers. But now the statistics shows us that that's changed dramatically. Sexual predators are right within your own families. So that's a myth. It don't just happen to strangers from another stranger to another stranger. That's a lie. That's what you will consider to be a myth. Now you see underneath that the fact says most incidents of sexual abuse involve relatives, neighbors, friends, or babysitters. Up to 85% of attackers are friends or relatives. As I said before, they're right up under your own nose these days, right within your bloodline, which is your family, close friends, or like they said, neighbors, babysitters, people who you trust with your children, people you trust your children to be around. It's them. They are the predators most commonly today. So you see that myth that once used to be, it's not so much a used to be thing now. It does not really hold up now. Okay. It does not really hold up now. It really does not pertain to just strangers now. It's more so your family and friends and people who you trust around your children to hurt your children, misuse your children. That. Y'all make sure y'all react to this live and hold on, honey. Let me take some things downstairs. Y'all react to the live. Make sure you share the live too. This is a good one right here, honey. You don't want to miss this one. Okay, I'm back. So again, myths are myths. Myths are lies. Myths are something that's not true because that's not true. Okay? Strangers are not only sexually molesting strangers. Okay? That's not happening in the world. Like the facts said, and like I know statistics say, I know that most cases of sexually mm-hmm. Thank you for the share, Miss Alicia. And thank you for the share, Miss Don. Miss Donna. Let's go to slide number 2. This myth right here. Children should always obey their elders, which is true. It's not really so much a myth. Because everybody should really respect your elders. But look at what the facts say. You also need to be teaching your children that children have the right to say no and should be taught to exercise their rights when they are bothered or touched in a way that is inappropriate. It is okay to yell or run for help or tell another adult, which is what I always taught my kids at a young age. See, I never had to worry about that, and I got all girls. My girls are all grown now, but when my girls were younger, I never really had to worry about my children being touched inappropriately because shit, one thing about it is they talk too damn much anyway. Second of all, I always taught them to definitely do not talk to strangers and never take nothing from a stranger, but to also yell and scream. And definitely feel comfortable enough to my kids always feel comfortable enough to tell me, see, they know their mama gonna pop off anyway, so they gonna come home willingly rather tell my mama somebody did XYZ to me, they did XYZ, they gonna do that. But that's what people ought to teach their children still today. Say no to anything that's inappropriate. So if somebody is touching you in your bottom area inappropriately and that's making you feel some kind of way, say no, you're not supposed to touch me right there. If they're touching your genitals, you say no, I'm going to tell somebody you're not touching me right there. My parents don't even like to touch me right there. You definitely tell somebody, let them know that it's okay for them not to have to take that kind of treatment from nobody. And you don't even care that it is your family, okay? Because a lot of y'all like to exclude y'all family members, but you shouldn't be so quick to exclude them neither, okay? When those are the predators. Seem to be number one predators in most families today. Do not make children feel that they have to accept that kind of treatment because of who these people are. We don't give a good damn about who they are. You let them know. Nobody is to inappropriately touch you in no manner, in no order. And if they do, if this is happening to you at home, you make sure you come tell somebody. If it's happening to you at school, you tell somebody. If it's happening to you at a friend's house, you definitely better tell somebody. But don't make children feel like they cannot say no to an adult, especially when it's inappropriate. They've got to be able to exercise their rights. They must. She says, right, right. Well, she say not too much. You funny. Sound like my daughter. She talk too damn much. Hell yeah. And my children won't let that shit happen. They come and telling me every motherfucking thing. Hell, my kids talk too much when they were little. And I kind of was glad. Shit. I had them damn type of children. My middle child tell me every motherfucking thing. They not taking shit from no motherfucking stranger. She said, that's right, okay. Kids got a right to say no, especially when it's inappropriate. So you don't care that, and then, yeah, your elders too. Some of these elderly people are monsters. They're elderly and they're nasty. They're predators. You got to think about the elderly too. They can't be excluded. Nobody's fucking excluded in this here category. Do you understand me? Nobody. So this will be your strangers. This is people who you do not know, people who you come across walking by or riding by. Those are strangers to you. Then you have people of your household should never be touching you inappropriately. Then you have, when you are around other family members, do not let none of them motherfuckers touch you inappropriately. Okay, when you are at school, you do not let other motherfuckers touch you inappropriately. Hell no. Then when you go to your friend's house, you do not let them touch you inappropriately. You come home and you tell somebody. Children has the right, and I don't care if this is grandmama or grandpapa. They're not supposed to be touching your buttocks. They're not supposed to touch your breasts, whether you are male or female. They're not supposed to touch your genitals. If your grandmama and grandpapa is doing that, he or she is living foul. And you definitely want to go home and tell your mama and go tell your daddy. So you teach your children to do that. She said, that's right. How you doing, Miss Lolane? Thank you for the shares. I appreciate that. Honey, no. We got to start telling that to them kids. That don't make them feel like they I don't care if you call them shit a tat. That's why I said I'm kind of glad my kids talked the way they talked when they were much younger. Okay? Let's go to the next one. Sexual assault of children is rare. Now we know that's a lie. That's what the myth says, right? The myth says that sexual assault of children is rare. We know that that's not rare. That's very common in today's time. So the fact of the matter is this: children are sexually assaulted more often than they are even beaten. Children are sexually molested, sexually assaulted more often than children are physically abused. Okay? That's the fact. Children are sexually assaulted, molested more often than they are beaten, which is physically abused. Okay? These are the statistics I'm bringing forth. These are the facts. This is why this is called awareness, 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 because I'm bringing forth awareness, trying to help somebody. Because again, I don't give a damn if this touched one soul. Somebody may be battling within, going through, being a victim, being victimized most of their life, or being currently victimized, and nobody wants to believe them, or they don't know how to tell somebody. They may have the courage to call this hotline at the end of my life. And if I only got one motherfucking person to do it, I still did what I needed to do. I still prevail with the information that I put out here because it is for somebody else. This is why I'm putting it out here. Y'all make sure y'all share this live and you make sure you react to it on top of that. So you see what that say? You see the myth and you see the fact. Okay? Damn shame, ain't it? The myth says sexual assault of children is rare, as if it don't happen often. That's a lie. The fact states children are sexually assaulted more often than they are beaten. Okay? That's a fact. Let's move on. Look at this myth and fact over here. Child abuse most likely occurs in poor neighborhoods and to the uneducated people. Definitely not a fact. It's not just catering to poor neighborhoods, urban areas, areas of poverty. That is not where you're going to hear about molestation a lot. Not saying that it does not happen in those kind of areas, because that will be something that's not true, but it doesn't only happen in those areas. Anybody can be sexually molested. So the fact states child sexual abuse can occur anywhere and involve anyone: rich, poor, male, female, young or old, educated or uneducated. It has no it has no criteria to it or no specifics to it. No, it doesn't. It affects anyone, whether you're rich or poor, male or female, young or old, educated, uneducated, and in different type of settings, different type of environments. As I said before, some of those environments are in public places. Some of those are in schools. Some of those are in your own home. Some of those are at the workplace. Okay? Different settings where sexual molestation, rape, and etc., etc. happens. So we know that's a lie, right? That myth is not true. It's not just catering to urban areas and poor folks. Not true at all. I am going straight for mines. I share. Thank you for the share. Everybody speaking. So we know that that's not true. And you see the facts. Okay. Let's go down. Look at this one. The myths say attackers of children are disturbed or sexually deprived. So it says the attackers of children are disturbed. I really feel like they are disturbed, but they're not sexually deprived, meaning that they will say that, oh, if somebody's touching children, they're not getting enough sex at home by their spouse. That's a fucking lie. You just disturbed in the head. You're mentally off. You're mentally disturbed by the things you choose to do with children. So the fact is this: most attackers have families and regular sexual outlets, which means that they're getting sex regularly. They have wives, they have husbands, they have boyfriends and girlfriends, and they are not deprived of sex. They just choose to do nasty, hideous acts on children or women or men, young boys, because they're sick minded. Okay. And not, it does not necessarily mean that they're deprived of sex as to why they touch children. They just sick minded. As a matter of fact, a lot of them are not deprived, is what the facts state. They're regularly sexual with their partners. They just have a fantasy of fixation of being with children and they're nasty. Okay. A sick fantasy, a sick fixation of fondling with children, fondling with girls and boys, fondling with women and men. You're sick. Okay. You just sick. Thank you for the avatar. Thank you for the share. So we're not going to say, oh, no, they're deprived of a sex life and they don't have a sex life at home with the husband or the wife or the girlfriend or the boyfriend. No, that's not it, honey. They twist it. They fixated on their nasty fantasies of molesting, forcing themselves on people, taking advantage of folks, whether these people be young, old, or grown, and whether they be male or female. They just fixated on that nasty shit. Let's move along. Actually, before we go through these last four, let me play this animated video. So this is an animated form, the first one, okay? We gonna go let this play, and then I'm gonna bring it back, and then we gonna go to this one, okay? The next slide. This is also talking about sexual abuse. It's just an animated video, but it is real. So we're gonna let this play, okay? Let this play.
I used to know this guy. He was my mom's friend. And he was like kind of nice. He gave me candies and let me play his phone a lot. And my mom thought he could trust him. But one day, my mom had to go to the store to get barbecue and stuff. And so she had it left with me because I wanted to stay. And so when they left, her girlfriend was going to the shower to take a shower while he watches me. But it was not that good. He locked the doors and everything, and something went terribly bad. He did something to me very bad I did not want to do. I didn't want to tell my mom because he told me to not tell no one, and if I did, he would probably threaten me and hurt my family. So I kept quiet. My mom says, "What's wrong?" I said, "Nothing, it's okay." So then, after days and days, I've been worrying, trying not to tell no one because I was scared. Every school, I could not read, I could not talk that way, and they would be like, "What's wrong?" And I was like, "Oh, it's nothing. It's just that I'm kind of tired." Till one day, I told my mom the truth. She was like, "Ah, sweetie, is this true?" And I said, "Yes, I'm scared." And I started crying and crying because I had let it out. It kept bothering me so much I had to let it out. It was like a big knot, so I had to untie it. When I told my mom, we had to go to the police station. They asked everything what he did, so I did tell them until they told me they would investigate him and that he was denying it. So I went to court then. The court was very scary because I had to look at him and my lawyer. The lawyer asked me questions, but I had to say yes, yes or not like that. I was very scared. I was shaking and shaking and shaking till I dropped. It was kind of scary, but ever since I did the court, I let it out and it felt good to let it out. It felt like I was not in pain no more. And so I'm putting a bad guy in jail.
Oh my god, and we totally jumped off the cliff and had to swim all the way to shore because the dog chased us all the way to the end.
So what was the number one thing if you just listen to that little piece of a clip? And if I ask you why the little girl felt like she didn't want to tell nobody, what was she dealing with? She was dealing with just what I said the most of them deal with. What would that be as to what kept her from telling her mother sooner? And this is somebody who her mother, which is somebody who she was dating, decided to leave around her child. But when her child came and told her that, she accepted it. She was receptive to that girl's information, her daughter's. But it was fear as to why she didn't want to tell of what he was telling her, threatening her. It was fear, as it is with most of them. Okay? But she couldn't take it no more. So she felt like, I'm going to tell my mother. And in certain cases, you got some mothers like her who accepted what her daughter took and said to her. And she took it serious enough to take her down to the police. And you also heard the little girl say how descriptive she was with telling them that of the acts he did to her. They're going to always be descriptive. It's not going to be something that they forget. Do you know how the brain works? Do you know how our brain stores things that we remember? It's like a computer, boo-boo. You know how you have a browser and you can browse a computer and it saves your history? When you have those type of memories in your head and in your brain, the way our brains are structured and the way that they are set up, those are going to be memories nobody is not going to ever forget, so they can be very descriptive with it. It was fear that kept her from telling her mother the first time when that happened. It was fear from keeping those school officials and personnels out of that girl's business. She didn't say anything till she just couldn't take it no more. So she told her mother, because again, this was her mother's friend, a boyfriend. So if you don't want to keep constantly putting yourself around somebody who's inappropriately touching you, you tell. But that's not easy for all of the people. It's not easy for everybody to do. And just because they don't do it when you think they should do it does not mean that it didn't happen. That's just the point. Just because they didn't speak fast enough in your terms does not mean that those acts did not take place. Don't mean that it didn't occur. Now let's go back up to the last 3 slides, because see, this next video was about 25 minutes long. I had to chop and screw it down, but I got the whole interview. So we got about 4, 5 clips. Okay. I had to chop and screw, but this is good here. This is good information right here. So I'm definitely going to use her. Okay. I'm definitely going to use her. Let's go to this one right here. What the myths say. Some children are promiscuous or seductive. Some children are promiscuous or seductive, when the fact of the matter is children do not ask to be sexually abused. Adults are at fault. Again, most adults will like to try to put that reverse psychology on a victim who's been victimized, trying to make it feel as if it's their fault because they didn't speak or tell no one about it. But most people do not wake up and ask to be mistreated, mishandled, abused in that manner. Nobody is going to wake up and want that, because that targets your mental health. It causes you to go into a lot of different emotions. It messes with you mentally. It's traumatizing to you. Some of these people don't know how to go on with their lives on a normal level because of the extent of trauma that they've been through. So it's not their fault. But however, somebody in a sick mind will make it seem like it's somebody else's fault because of what happened to him or her. You will make them feel as if it's their fault. It's not their fault. It's not their fault they was dealing with a predator. It's not their fault they were dealing with a monster. Again, you have to know how to approach somebody in that manner and in that order when they've been through such things. If your approach is off, you off. You got to know signs and symptoms in people. Because see, the ones who don't open up their mouth, they go through different type of behavior patterns, which means they become withdrawn and they isolate from everybody. Their behavior takes them to another level, which means that they start getting in trouble. They go out there doing things of mischief to get them in trouble. Some of them end up pregnant if they're young girls, because they feel that this is my fault. It's not their fault. They didn't ask for it. So don't make them feel as if it's their fault, is what I'm saying. Let's go. This myth say here, children make up stories to get attention. Now, some children do make up stories, but again, I don't think they're going to make up a story in this extent. Now, telling a white lie from a major lie is something that children do. Children and most people do. Everybody's lie. Now, whether your lie be to protect another motherfucking person or it's a small white lie versus a big lie, but everybody has lied. Okay? But children are not going to wake up and want to be mistreated in this manner because it targets them different. It affects them differently. So they're not going to come up and say no shit like this if it is indeed not happening. Okay? The fact is, most children are too embarrassed, frightened, or inexperienced to talk about the attack. Children rarely lie about sexual assault. Exactly. A kid may lie about taking somebody's pencil out of their pencil box at school, but when you talk about them going to an adult telling them that they've been sexually assaulted by another motherfucking adult, that's not something that a kid is going to lie about. That's not something that most kids going to tell no lies on. You may say, "Oh, did you take my candy?" "No, I did not take your candy." "Oh, did you take my pencil?" "No, I did not take your pencil." They may be lying about facts. But when you talk about sexual assault, most children are not going to lie about that because they're going to be too descriptive about the act itself. They're not lying. And if they can be very descriptive about it, you know they're not lying. Ain't no grown adult going to wake up and want that kind of motherfucking action to happen to them. Because it affects adults just the way it affects kids. As a victim, who finna want that kind of action happening to them? Who? Nobody ain't waking up wanting something like that to happen to them. Waking up wanting to be mistreated and raped, inappropriately touched. Nobody's doing no shit like that. And if you hearing that kind of shit from a kid, you better be open up to hear the kid. You better be receptive to what the kid is telling you. Because 9 times out of 10, they're not telling you no lie. And the last one, look what the myths say here. Discussing the assault will scare, discussing the assault will only scare the child. When the fact is, the children need the facts to help them know what fears are real and what fears are imagined. So with this, most kids are scared to discuss things like that. So I don't know how true I believe in that myth. Because see, most children are very scared to discussing that. You know what I'm saying? However, some kids are very open. Some kids are very open to their parents and open to other people around them. So I feel like discussing it will only scare the child in the manners of they're scared of what happened to them. So that's why they don't want to tell, because then they know that they're going to have to actually go into detail and relive in this thing over again. However, they got to know the difference between fears that are real and fears that are imagined. Okay. So when you talk about sexual assault to your kids, because you should be talking about that with your children, just to kind of give them a heads up, and you're kind of hinting them and cueing them on signs to look for in other adults that's hinting that kind of inappropriate behavior. They got to know the difference between things that's fears that are real and those that are imagined. Okay. Continue to educate yourself and your children on this matter, on this subject. Okay. It's never one that's get too old. It doesn't matter how old you get. You know what I'm saying? You are never too old to continue to teach yourself this kind of a thing. You're never too old to teach your children what kind of things to look for, especially when they are around strange people. If they are school age children, they definitely need to know. They are around other children, because sexual assault can take place on children of your peers, children of your own age group. They may be learning this shit from their behaviors at home. You know what I'm saying? You got to let them know signs and symptoms to look for when they go to school. They in churches, let them know. At home, in the home life, let them know. When they are in public and you are faced with strangers walking by every day, let them know. They got to know. Mm-mm. Other family members' house, let them know. Nobody's excluded. Let them know. Now we're going to go down. We got about 6 clips. This interview was good to me. Okay. This is a young lady who's a survivor. Okay. Of being sexually molested by her stepfather and her mother knowing. So her mother having knowledge of her being sexually molested. Just listen to the things she went through and just listen to how her mother actually handled this situation. Let us play.
My name is Keisha Edmonds, and my story is about how a ER visit would change my life forever. When I was 5, I would be propositioned by my stepfather sexually in our new home that we had just moved to, and he would put his hand under my nightgown and touch my private area. My abuse of my stepfather, it grew once he realized that he had direct access to me. It would continue on to about the age of 12 years. So when the abuse began, I did what every knowledgeable 5-year-old would do. I told adults. That didn't stop the abuse. So with me going to my mother about the abuse, my stepfather, he would use the telltale notion of she doesn't like me, she doesn't like being on punishment. He used every excuse that he could for me not liking him as to why I would say that he was sexually abusing me. Because when it would occur, he used different types of ways to get me alone. That would be through punishments and discipline and me having to take naps. For a long time, I felt shame because my body reacted. I would have an orgasm in these encounters with him. That made me feel like I was in agreement, like I was accepting what he was doing to me. And that affected me throughout my life for a long time. So when he was done, he would take the nearest washcloth and wipe me off. I could still smell him. If it wasn't punishment as to why I was being sexually abused, he would leave me money. The money would be the reward if I wasn't in trouble and he was sexual with me. I got special gifts that would be, disguised under me being the only girl. It was seen as, me getting the princess treatment when all actuality, it was to keep me quiet. So we would go on our special rides with one another where he'd pull over and he'd rape me in the backseat of the car. So with him being the head of those areas in my family, he was able to decide whether or not I could be in the home on punishment or else out with my friends. And following after that, I can remember them arguing, him defending himself, saying, what I want to do with the little girl? You're crazy. She's making it up. She just doesn't like me. She doesn't want me to be here anymore. I thought the abuse would have stopped and he would leave, but he ended up staying and he would continue to be there. Whenever he would come to my room, he was able to get to me whenever he really wanted to. There wasn't a real pattern about it. I now know as a child that he was doing hard drugs, such as, and I can remember smelling the liquor and beer on his breath. There would be signs of me knowing that it was going to occur from him finding a reason to place me on punishment, sending me to my room to take a nap, or just taking the opportunity whenever it would be me and him alone in the home. I felt so afraid because he was the father of the home and my younger brother's father. So it felt like I was tearing our family apart by telling my mother. I felt that she was going to do what they said all adults would do whenever they found out their child was being harmed by someone. And that was protect them and keep them away from them and to get rid of the problem. In my case, my mother would argue with my stepfather and, they would go back and forth and we'd hear it just like every other argument that they had. But this one was personal. Days would go by, weeks would go by. He'd return just like every other time. It made me feel like I wasn't important. It got to a point with my mother where in a way I became the other woman because her man was interested in being sexually active with her child. And I would hear her asking why me and what's like comparison as to why he would want to be with me and not with her. That was my mom, and I needed my mom at that time, and she wasn't there for me. As a child growing up, I was known to be very quiet, low self-esteem.
So listen, look how sick that sound already, as if your mother knowing already and really accepted the man back. But she was almost like in competition with her daughter. Like, what do you see in my daughter that you don't see in me? You know what I'm saying? Like comparing yourself to your daughter when this monster right here that you're fucking on, he actually want to fondle with your damn daughter. And you keep on letting him come in your house. The only thing you doing is arguing with a bitch. Oh no, I've been ready to a bitch. You wouldn't even be in my motherfucking house. Okay, the only thing you want to do is argue with this nigga when your daughter has already came and told you that this nigga is violating her. You want to argue with this bitch nigga. And then you arguing the fact of what you see in her versus me. Them kind of parents. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about earlier when I say that some of these motherfuckers be sick-minded and twisted just like her parents, her mama. Watch when y'all keep on hearing this, the rest of the slides. Then you heard her talk about this, right? The girl, the one who was victimized, right? He been fondling with her so much till she was having orgasms. So she was making herself believe like this was some normal shit. Or she was almost in a sense making herself believe that this is what she like. She know this shit is inappropriate. And so do he. You're grown. You're dating her mother. What do you want in her? She's a kid. But you see how receptive her mother was to knowing the facts and didn't do really too much shit about it? Oh my God, so sad. It really is. Damn, that's sickening, ain't it? Very sickening. Lord have mercy, I shared. Thank you. It's twisted. How you doing, Miss Don? Very twisted. Pretty much they both sick in the head. That's right. Because she's just as sick as him. When you still continues to lay down with a motherfucker and then you comparing yourself to your daughter as if you're saying almost like this. Why what you see in her? Why you keep on touching her versus what you see in me? Like that ain't even that's the last thing should be on your mind, lady, when your daughter has come told you something like that. Your daughter has come tell you something like that, and that's what you can think about. And you keep allowing the man in your house, back in your life, back in your daughter's life, around your children, you're sick. Let the next one play.
Walked. I didn't like taking photos. It was like I didn't want to be seen in my childhood. And in the same token, I was a protector. I was looking over my friends from my stepfather and just in life general. I took on that role, just being that person because I didn't have that for myself. Also, I dressed as a tomboy because me exposing my developing breast and my curves and things of that nature would gain attention from males. And, you know, with me getting that unwanted attention at home, it
y'all make sure y'all share the live and react to the live. React to the live and share with
boys and not too much of dressing up and being girly. I was in different after school activities and programs that was offered in my community. I went to the local library and would read as many books as I could. And I used my love for reading and knowledge as a way to escape what was going on at home. I completely remember whenever my abuse stopped because it was an important part of my life. I was at the age of 12 and it was the day after my 6th grade promotion. We were leaving the elementary school and making our way up to the big kid school, and we got to stay home, the 6th graders who had just recently promoted. So my siblings weren't home. And I had woke up that morning and was ready to start my summer vacation, and I went to the bathroom. And when I went to the bathroom, I would experience an excruciating pain when I went to urinate that caused me to have to be taken to the hospital. My stepfather would be the one to take me to the hospital that day. While I was there, I would be treated for a sexually transmitted disease. While being in their care is where I finally let it out to someone outside of an adult close to me, an authority figure, that I was being molested by my stepfather. Well, once they performed the rape kit on me and proceeded to run a test and coming up with a diagnosis of herpes simplex 2, questions started to be raised about how does a 12-year-old girl come in here for sexually transmitted diseases when she's saying she's not being active. So once I confided in the nurses in that room, because my mother wasn't present until they allowed her back to see me, I could hear her screaming in the background of the hospital of wanting to see me or why. they would begin to send me home with her with my medication. I was sent to live with my grandma for the summer. And following that, I would meet with children, youth, and family services. I met with a caseworker and spoke with him. I was sent to therapy so we could discuss what was happening with me. And I was interviewed by the police as well around that time. Once I seen the response that I got at the hospital from the nurses and the doctors of what my stepfather was doing to me, and the fact that he did leave me there at that hospital is one of like worry and concern. And I hadn't seen that. Like, I hadn't personally experienced that as a kid, of someone being so captivated or taken in by what was happening to me, and was really sad for me. So seeing their responses made me start to think like, okay, something really is wrong. Like, this isn't a good thing that's happening to me. But I just didn't understand why it kept happening to me, if that was the reason. So although I spoke to the police and the caseworker and the authorities knew about my abuse, my stepfather wouldn't be arrested for what he had done to me. If anything, he was invited back into my house. I took a walk with my mother and my younger brother, who is my stepfather's son. And she took a quick walk in our neighborhood. We didn't really have a vehicle, so we went on a walk, and she started to talk to me about my stepfather and my feelings about him, and did I think that he meant what he had done to me, and just really just trying to figure things out in regards to how I was feeling about him. But then we would go to this apartment, and I had never been there before, and in this alleyway, and when she had knocked on the door, my stepfather answered it.
So, Lord. Okay, so listen, he's penetrating the young girl. She's experiencing discomfort using the bathroom, only to realize that then why the fuck was he the motherfucking one transporting her to the motherfucking hospital when you already know that this motherfucker's a predator? That's first off. Then when you get to the damn hospital, she learns that she's only 12 years old, has been diagnosed with an STD, herpes simplex, that your man then gave her. You so-called have him out the house, but you talking to your daughter, trying to get an understanding or have her have an understanding with this man as to, do you really believe that he did this to you, or do you think this? Just playing mind games with your daughter. You playing mind games as a mother with your daughter all around the board, having this conversation with her when it shouldn't even be no damn conversation. You already know what the fuck's going on. Then you approach her and take her back to this motherfucking man, and he returns back in the same home. Now, if y'all don't tell me what's going on with her mama, what was really going on? Were you that digmatized by the pain, by the hard wood, that you just could not come to realization that your daughter was in harm's way? So you was digmatized by the fucking wood? Were you that damn digmatized by the wood, girl? You had to be. You had to be one of them type of motherfucking women that just had to have a motherfucking man. Didn't even matter that this motherfucking man was a monster. Don't even matter that the motherfucking man is a predator. He gave your daughter something she gonna be having to deal with forever. You talking about herpes simplex complex, and you bring the motherfucker back in? It's ladies like that for me. So the mother was on it from the beginning. Yeah, she just she's just one man. What word for that kind of a woman? What word can I use for that kind of? I have no words for that type of that's the type of motherfucker. I have no words for that kind of motherfucking lady. Not that. Girl, you failed your daughter all around. You failed all your children all around the board. And so the fuck did he. And so the fuck did he. Both of y'all weird. Throw the whole itch away is what I say. Throw her ass out to the gutter where she belongs. Throw him and her right to the motherfucking wolves. Off with the head with both of them hoes. Because see, you just playing the game right now. You think this is a game, and then you trying to actually get your daughter to have some kind of understanding with this whack ass man, the monster. You want her to actually have some type of understanding Like, oh, do you really feel that he did XYZ to you? Or do you feel like this was, girl, bye. And then you let him once again come in the house. Keep on listening, though. Just keep listening. Shit, it gets sicker to me. Everybody's speaking. How you doing, Miss Katina? It gets sicker to me, though. It's that kind of a lady for me. Never let this play.
I'm just really confused because I thought like he was gone, it would be over, but she brought me there so he can talk to me and apologize for what he had done to me and basically promising that he wouldn't do it again. During the visit with my stepfather, my mother asked me if he could come back into the house. As a 12-year-old girl without her own father and my younger brother being there, I took that big sister role and I agreed for my stepfather to return home. From that moment, plus 22 years later, is exactly what that was. He was my stepfather. I had to live with him and treat him as such because that's how our mother made us treat him. So Father's Day, he was getting a gift. His birthday, he was going to be acknowledged. My abuse, my trauma, my disease would never be spoken ever again. It was left for me to deal with on my own, and that's what I did for 22 years until I couldn't hold it in anymore. Throughout the time of me having to live with my mother and stepfather, at the age of 16, I would become a teen mom, and then I would have 3 children, 3 sons, by the age of 21. Once I was able to finally get myself out of that home dynamic and pray that nothing would happen to my children while I was there, I would end up in my own place, have another child. She would be 12 years younger than my youngest son. It was her birth that prompted me to really question the family dynamic that I was in. And there was this feeling of this inner child in me screaming when I found out I was actually having a daughter. And it made me look at myself differently. Instead of me trying to figure out like how I was going to take care of her, I was really afraid of the environment that I was bringing her into, the kind of woman I was for holding such information from everyone. It really, really messed with my psyche to where I would question a lot of things whenever she was born at 21 weeks. At the age of 32, I would become pregnant with a daughter. That prompted there to be a change in how I would think about how my life was up to that point. That feeling of putting her in harm's way and knowing the environment that I was putting her in scared me to my core. And I was willing to do any and everything to make sure she was safe. Those are feelings that I did not feel from my own mother. With Kaden being born so early, she wasn't able to go to daycare like regular babies. So we enlisted my mother as her caretaker under the restriction that it was only at my home. My daughter's father and I spoke with her and made this rule, this boundary, and she broke it. She would allow my stepfather to be in my home with my daughter, not permitted. And me seeing how she was willing to put my daughter in harm's way made me want to have to disconnect from them. And I fired her. Firing my mom as my daughter's caretaker would prompt my stepfather to contact me. That wasn't what we did. We did not go long without talking to our mother. She made sure that any issues we had with her were taken care of and resolved by us just accepting that's who she was. My stepfather would call me in to meet with me at our home, and I would go down to meet with my mother and my stepfather about the episode that happened at my house that would prompt me to no longer be in contact with them. I broke contact with my mother and my stepfather, and my stepfather wanted to talk to me about it, thinking it had to do with why I had fired my mom. In that time away from the household and not speaking to anyone there, I began to really look at the dynamic and understand that my daughter wasn't safe with them and I wasn't safe with them. So whenever I met with my mother and stepfather, I confronted him for the abuse he had done to me all those years before and let him know that what he did to me was not okay. My stepfather did not touch me after the age of 12, like he had promised. But around the age of 15, we had a camcorder at our home and I found it in my hamper. And when we looked on the camera to see like what was going on, why was it in my hamper, we would find a pre-recorded video of my stepfather positioning the camera and positioning it at my bed, and we saw him motioning as if he was taking off his pants.
And so if it's not sick enough, you want your daughter to still have some type of respect for the man. Like you want her to honor him for Father Days and birthdays. He's not her biological father, first off, and he's not a father figure. The fuck? He's a monster. So you even still asked of your children to actually acknowledge the man on Father Days as if he's a fucking positive figure as a father, or on his birthdays, fuck him as a father, fuck his birthday. How about it? Then, if that wasn't enough trick, you sit up there and she still acknowledge you as a mom. See, she still want to have some type of relationship with you. Because, see, I don't know how quick I will be. I know you're supposed to respect your parents, but see, if my parents was doing me like hers, I wouldn't want no relationship with my mom at that point in time right now. I need time. You know what I mean? I need a little bit of time. I wouldn't even ask my mother to watch my child because I wouldn't even trust you. I didn't already told you as a child what somebody was doing to me. I'm not going to allow this monster to do this to my child. So when she allowed you to watch her baby at her house and said, on one condition that it's just you at my house, your man cannot have no affiliation towards my daughter, and you still brought that man around her daughter. See, that's when she cut all ties with her mom, because see, you ain't really listening. You're not even taking this serious. You too in tune with the man. She still try to have some decency for your ass. What's going on, sis? Happy hump day. Up in here just bringing forth awareness on molestation, sexual assault, sis, because we got a lot of folks misguided on the internet. We got a lot of people misguided, confused. They not educated enough. So they need to be educated. And I'm just bringing forth some education. It's real life situation. This is real life. This is somebody's life. That's a real person. That's a real lady who been through that. And her mother knows about this shit? Oh no. Oh no. Then she's still trying to have some kind of relationship with you after the fact of you not even really doing nothing about what she told you. And after the fact of you choosing this man over her. She asked you to become a nanny to her with her daughter at her home. Because, yeah, my daughter will not be coming to your house as long as you got that motherfucking wicked ass man in there. Long as you got that man around you, you can't even be around. My daughter cannot be seen in your house. So, yes, I will allow you to be a nanny to your grandchild only on the extent that you come to my house. And I don't want your man at my house. And she couldn't even follow that rule. Like, wow. Wow. I'm always late on the good stories. Listen, we still got a few clips, sis. He's a true predator. He's a true monster. And so is she. She's sick in the head. You might as well been fondling with your own motherfucking daughter since you letting another motherfucker do it and you know it's happening. And then what the weird ass motherfucking man ended up taking the motherfucking recorder or the camera out of the original place, positioning in her dirty clothes hamper, positioning the camera towards the bed. So he was going to make another attempt on her because she said that he hadn't touched her since she was 12. But when she turned 17, he had made that move of putting that camera, positioning that camera in that hamper. Oh, he was going to make a move on her again. He was going to make his move again on her as to why he moved it out of the original place, putting it in a hamper, position cameras towards the bed, and doing all of that bullshit like that. Because he was going to attempt doing it once yet again. Now, what kind? See, that's the kind of motherfucker lady I'd be ready to beat her up. And I would have pleasure in beating the fuck out of her. Like, I would enjoy beating the fuck out of you. You couldn't have been no cousin or shit of mine, and this was my niece. I'd be ready to beat your ass. You know what I'm saying? Beat the crap fuck out of you. You just that motherfucking stupid is what I be saying. Some shit to that nature. Girl, what the fuck is wrong with you? Where is your head game at? It's that kind of shit for me. It's that kind of a bitch. You know what I'm saying? That kind of a trick. You're not a mother. You know what I'm saying? You're not a mother. You're not a mother of no sort when you can do shit like that to that extent. You're not. What type of motherfucking mother are you? And I wouldn't definitely be acknowledging a motherfucker on no Father's Day. I would guess I would be a rebellious ass teenager because if that was a motherfucker you was dating, I listen, I didn't like everybody that my mother dated. I only really had respect for motherfuckers because you was dating my mother. But if I didn't like him, I didn't have no problem telling my mother I didn't like him and why I didn't like him neither. But you doing fuckery and you think I'm finna acknowledge you as a father or you think I'm finna give a fuck about your birthday? Fuck all that. It's fuck you, fuck your birthday, fuck your Father's Day. You ain't nothing to me, nigga. You not my motherfucking biological motherfucking daddy anyway. Who the fuck are you? You ain't doing nothing but causing me trauma. Fuck you. You better be lucky that my mind didn't go somewhere on you where I do something to you. Cause see, it's gonna be fuck you. I'm not gonna acknowledge you on no motherfucking level, no note like that. I would have been telling my mama that. I'm not getting him shit for Father's Day. He ain't no father to me. I done told you, mama, that this man is inappropriately touching me and you still batting for this man. I don't give a fuck about his birthday. Fuck the man. It's fuck him. Okay, fuck him, fuck the mom too. It's fuck him. I said fuck him. With a long, sick dick, you can go get fucked. How about that? How about you go get fucked with a long, sick dick? A long, sick pink? Some long, sick wood. Since you like putting your motherfucking wood on motherfuckers and penetrating. And you're nasty. So on top of the girl getting the STD, mama, you okay with having that shit too? You must be okay with carrying the motherfucking herpes simplex and shit like that. You okay with that too, I guess, huh? Hmm. Gotta be more careful with these niggas and how you picking them. Should have got both of them locked up. Just keep on waiting, sis. Y'all keep on listening. You ain't never lied, man. I wouldn't acknowledge that sick, twisted ass motherfucking man. Who is he? He ain't my damn daddy. Who the fuck is he? He ain't my daddy. He ain't shit to me. This your man. This ain't my motherfucking daddy, and I wish I knew who the fuck my daddy was, because my daddy be ready to KILL this motherfucker. Had he known what the fuck he's doing to me. Since you won't do anything about it, mama. And you still allowing this man in our house around myself and other people. Because if he doing this to me, hell, we don't even know what the fuck he doing to the rest of the motherfucking children. He capable of continuously doing that to me. Reminds me of the movie Woman of Thou Art Lost. Okay? Fuck is wrong with him? My 10-year-old cousin was caught having sex naked with her mom's husband, and her mom beat her black and blue, and she's still with her husband 30 years now. And so the 10-year-old was caught with the mother's husband having sex, you say, and she's still with this man, and they 30 years in. And instead of her addressing the man, she just going on ahead, beat her daughter black and blue. At 10 years old, she found that her 10-year-old was willingly wanting to fuck her husband. Wow. What kind of mother is it? Sick people. It's sick folks in the world, sis. Sick people, sick, twisted people in the world. In the world we live in, they sick. They twisted. And some of these women weak and sad. She definitely weak as a mother. Oh yeah, that lady definitely weak. She definitely weaks us. Most definitely. You really do your homework and so very organized. Good content. Sure do, Miss Diane. I put this shit together. Okay. I be putting shit together because see, I do when I when I worked as a case manager, I had to present a lot of different meetings and put PowerPoints and shit like that together. In school, I still have to do that now, working on my nurse's degree. Okay. So I'm very good at put together PowerPoints and things of those natures, essays and all of that kind of shit. Speaking in front of people has never been a weak suit of mine. It's definitely still not. Okay. So I love to come together with some, especially if I'm coming with some informative stuff like this. I have to be on point. I have to be. Unfortunately, this is the sad narrative. So many of our young women had to endure those sick ass predators. All need to be punished for the rest of their lives. And all those who sat by and watched. Mm-mm. So, so sad. What? Wait a minute, honey. You might have to. I don't understand what them first few sentences mean. Saying, oh, I was 14. I was fucking so she know what she doing. I different between a hoe and something getting sexual assaulted. You can tell a dumbass B. People need real help. People need some help out here. They mind fucked up. They mental gone. I told you I will be on my way to jail. Man, the first moment that motherfucker daughter of mine came and told me that shit. Say what? Say what? It wouldn't be no motherfucking argument. Oh yeah, it's gonna be a damn argument for sure. But your ass definitely ain't gonna be wanting to be around me no more. You better hope that God be with me. Because if I go on my head on you, if I go on my head on you and my thoughts gets the best of me, nigga, and I want to act off what these motherfuckers are telling me to do, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. If my thoughts is over talking me and they loud, okay, and I'm in my head, cause I'm a listen. I'ma do it. Don't play with me. You definitely ain't finna be around me and think you finna play this kind of game. I know, right? Midnight only speak that real good shit, encouraging and straightforward. I'm just saying, it ain't finna be no motherfucking discussion, nigga. You ain't finna be nowhere around me and my kids. Are you cool? Are you crazy? Nah, I'll be before another motherfucking judge, okay? Because of what I did to you. You know what I'm saying? Of what I did to you. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go in on you. You're not gonna get no 1, 2, 3, 4 more times to actually sexual assault my daughter. And I'm definitely not gonna have you in my house. Ain't no damn dick that damn good for a motherfucker to be saying shit like that and to constantly put up with that and put your kids in harm's way. Shit don't add up. She has too much anger for her. It's more to it, trust me. Wow. You talking about with the situation you just told me, right? That shit's sick. Let's go to the next one. We gotta.
I'm just really confused because I thought like he was gone, it would be over, but she brought me there so he can talk to me and apologize for what he had done to me and film. That was presented to my mother and
Wait a
the
minute. Did
camcorder
we see this one?
disappeared. But my stepfather
We
stayed.
saw that one. Okay.
My mother, she would corroborate everything that I had told the detective and some. I had originally thought I told my mother about my abuse from my stepfather at the age of 10. She would confirm with the detectives that I told her at the age of 5. My mother's statement is what gave the police the warrant to go after my stepfather. So he was arraigned on a plethora of charges. I think there had to have been around 8 or 9 of charges that he was arraigned for. So he went to the county jail and he was facing the charges in front of me. but he would be bailed out, and it would be my mother who did it. My mother went in to his family and told them that I was lying and I was making it up, and they believed her, and they all put their money together to release my stepfather, but they needed a signature. That signature would be of my younger brother, who was the one that I had let my stepfather back in for the beginning of all of this. So he was let out and he was free while we were going through this court trial, going through my case, and I was extremely afraid. I would go and purchase a firearm. My local police knew of any calls of distress that would come from my address, what it was about. Everybody was put on high alert because I don't live too far from where my childhood home is and where my stepfather and mother resided. I was a bus ride away and a 10-minute drive away from them. So things were very scary for me at that time. I didn't know what to do. I was afraid for my children. They were teens and in high school and just living their lives, and they had to worry about running into their grandma or their granddad. I was prepared to go against my stepfather in the court of law. I was prepared for a jury to hear my story and to find him guilty. But for me, it was bigger than getting the opinion of others on what I knew to be true and what I knew for my stepfather to be true. So whenever we were propositioned for a plea, I accepted, because for me, it was him taking accountability for what he had done to me, something he had never, ever said he had done the entire time. My stepfather and his attorney would come to me and the DA to discuss a plea arrangement, which I agreed to, because for me, it really wasn't about a jury convicting him. It was him taking accountability for what he had done to me all those years. I would agree to a sentence of 5 to 7 years of him being incarcerated in prison. For me, that 5 to 7 years, it represented the years that I was being abused by him. Whenever I had to face him in the courtroom at the day of him accepting his plea and me addressing the court, because I did give a victim impact statement at that time, the entire time I would feel bad that I was going after my stepfather for what he did to me. I guess that would be a form of programming, but my feelings nonetheless, I felt it. So with him being in that courtroom, dressed and ready for prison, I felt happy that I was able to do that for my younger self, because although I was in this adult woman's body, my younger self was inside and she was celebrating. Me going public and sharing my story with the world, for me at first, it was very scary. It was a part of myself that I had kept silent for so long and was met with people who did not believe me, who I thought would believe me. Going out in front of a camera and telling my story first to those who knew me, because I did go online and I had to confront my mother, because she was going behind everyone's back and telling people not to support me whenever I did begin to speak out about the abuse about my stepfather.
So not only, first I want to say that I'm so glad that this young lady actually broke it down to how she actually wanted him to be sentenced to jail. So it wasn't about him getting life for her. It was about him just simply taking accountability. So that's why she was willing to do the plea. And she said that the years that he got represent the many years that he molested her. I like that. Um, but it gets sicker. What kind of mom, actually bails out a man, Seems like her brother turned on her because he put the signature on the bail and things of those natures. All of them turned on her all of a sudden, her family. Now, what are you going to do, mother, while he's in jail for 5 to 7 years? What are you going to do? Oh, she went down vandalizing her daughter's name, basically telling people not to support her, probably going back behind her back, telling people that this is a lie, but it can't be a lie. He's in jail for it. It's not a lie. You knew it wasn't a lie either. You just uphold the lie. You condoned the fucking lie this whole time. You condoned the motherfucking monster. It was never a lie. You knew about it. You knew about it. And you did everything in your power to keep that motherfucking monster around her. You did everything in your willpower to keep that motherfucker around your child after your child and told you he did this repeatedly to her. You didn't believe. You didn't believe. Now what are you going to do? See, I wonder what her mother is like now. You know what I'm saying? I wonder She's probably the type of bitch to do this. She's probably the type of bitch to take care of him while he's whole time in there. She's probably the type of bitch that's gonna write him letters, still tell the monster she love him, and she's gonna wait for him. All this good shit like that. You know what I'm saying? All of that bullshit. That's what she doing. Then you think vandalizing your daughter's name by telling people not to support her, probably going back, fabricating the story, you're telling lies when you know the truth. I hope she's looked at like a bad person. I hope that the good Lord deals with her mom in a way that she understands. Like, listen, because she's capable of doing that again, and it might happen to her since she's so stupid and since she's so weak minded when it comes to a man. Even if this man be a monster, do you need for that kind of activity to happen to you for your eyes to be open in a different manner? Because sometimes that's what it takes with some of those kind of people like her. She's giving me that vibe. She's giving me the vibe that if it was her, she would want somebody to believe her. If it was her, she wouldn't want nobody constantly putting that person in her space, in her perimeter, making her uncomfortable like that. But you did that for all of your children, all of them, including the one that was actually going through the traumatic event. You repeatedly did it over and over for her. What kind of mother are you? What kind of mother, what kind of women are those type of women? And she's not the only type of woman in the world that's like that. Sad as it to say. It's a lot of women that choose to still be with predators out here. That's why I picked this kind of story, because I already know that's to be a fact. And this is based off actual events. This is actually based off actual events. Because it's women just like her, men too. Let's look at the very last clip, I want to say.
And through my voice, I share the story of my own resilience, how my mental health has been affected by the trauma in childhood. Just carrying on a regular day is difficult because I deal with PTSD and I'm raising children while still having to heal my own wounds. And that is difficult on its own. Yeah, Keisha's legacy is for those who have been silent, so they don't have to feel silent anymore. And the responses I've seen thus far has been an empowering one that makes me want to continue to share my voice and to give resources to people who may not know that they could go after an abuser if they wanted to, that there are resources available to where you can get free therapy, and therapy is not taboo, that it does help. I have a testament that therapy does work, and if I could, I would tell everybody to find the one, because it's amazing. And to break the stigma, however long ago it happened, does not mean what happened to you isn't important. It doesn't mean that you should get over it. If it happened, it needs to be handled. Whether it's you getting your mental health taken care of or you going after the perpetrator. But these wounds do not heal with time. They heal with work. I have tons of advice that I give through my own journey, and what I've learned is that the silence gets louder the longer you do it. If you tell someone that something has happened to you and you've been hurt, if they asked you to be quiet, if they ask you to turn the other eye or give any reason as to why you should not get help, they are not there to protect you. They are not for you. Go around until someone acts on your behalf. How things are with me now, I am 37, going on 38. March 9th, my children, they're thriving. Kaden is my little mini-me. She follows me everywhere. I do plan on putting updates of our relationship and how things are going for me on my platforms, Keisha's Legacy. and that's on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok. Also, I am in the process of becoming a published author. I am participating in the 7th volume of Scenes from a Single Mom. We will be dropping that in July, where I'll be sharing my story as it pertains to me being a single mom and navigating life as a single mom, a teen mom who experienced my type of trauma, and how I was able to still maintain and be during those like terrible times in my life, and to give advice to other women and survivors on how you can navigate life going through something at one point in time. Because you're a victim once. That's it. You're always a survivor. Life after sending my stepfather to prison has been amazing for me. It's been rough in the healing process because I've been doing an extensive form of therapy, which is EMDR. And me and my therapist have been working through those really tough areas in my development to where I'm able to now embrace myself as a whole. I'm not ashamed. I'm not harboring on to any old feelings of resentment to anyone in the past, because I've healed so much so that negative feelings no longer reside in me, and I'm forever thankful to myself, because it takes you to get through that part. And as far as that, it affected my life in all ways. It changed me as a mother. I'm a more patient mother. I'm able to meet my children where they are. I'm not triggered by my daughter anymore, because for a long time I was being triggered just by her existing, because I kept putting myself in her place and being afraid for her. But now I'm able to trust myself and trust that regardless of the circumstances, they're always going to be protected by me, and that I am capable of keeping my life running. Do the healing, do the work, and cut the unnecessary ties out. Because if they're not for you, they don't need to be for you.
So, with that being said, people, for the ones that may have dealt with, may be dealing with, or for some of you all who know people that deals with trauma on that type of level, definitely keep on encouraging those kind of people to go seek some type of help, talking to a therapist. You know, I get everybody don't like to tell everybody their business, and you just don't really know who you can really trust with that kind of a thing that's going on with you in your life. But it's not a bad thing to go talk to somebody. I, matter of fact, encourage people to talk to those professional folks. Okay. I always say that those professional people shouldn't be allowed to tell your business by law, because if they do, then you have a right to sue them. Okay. Because whatever you discuss with your therapist stays between you and your therapist. No one else needs to know any of the things that you talk about. If you're not giving consent to that professional person to talk about it to other people, it's no way it should be discussed outside of you and that person. Okay. And this is why that will be the safest thing for people to do, is to go talk to professional folks. You definitely want to seek healing when you have dealt with trauma to that extensive level, because it do affect you. And especially if you have children of your own, you do not want to almost keep your children from living their life because of the trauma you went through. That's why healing is important, people. Discussing things is important, not just for people around you, but just for you itself, you know, for you to go on and be able to go through life without, you see, she said she deal with PTSD. Most people who deal with trauma of extensive levels of being rape victims and victims of molestation deal with PTSD. Okay, that's a mental health diagnosis. They're triggered by many different things around them. They're triggered by things that they see on TV. They're triggered by other people, and they're triggered by things that brings familiar things or familiarity to them. So, you know, they're triggered by places and things. They're triggered by all of those kind of things when you deal with PTSD. Okay, seek help. Go get help. It's not unnecessary for you to feel bad about what happened to you. It's not your fault most times. It's not your fault. People do not ask for that kind of activity or anything like that. They do not ask for those kind of acts, okay, to happen to them. So seek the help that you need for closure for you, okay? And so that you can give yourself the life you deserve. But not only that, you want to make sure that your children, if you are a mother, you want to make sure that your children also have the life that they deserve. Because you know, some people who don't seek help as a mother and have dealt with things like that, they almost cradle their children to where their children don't get the chance to live like regular children should, because they're feared or afraid of, oh, this happened to me and I'm just trying to prevent this from happening to my child. But your child won't be able to live the life that you need to live. Okay, so go seek help. Now with this last one here, I'm going to play this little slide, which is just a slide of pictures that I put together. And it's also got the information to a hotline, okay, that you can call like for sexual assault. And it also has the website on there, okay? So we're going to just let this play, and this will be the end of the live. So make sure y'all seek the kind of help y'all need for yourselves and your mentals, okay? It's not y'all fault. Y'all have the right to live normal lives. You don't have to forget what happens to you, okay? You don't have to forget what happens to you. You don't have to forget. You're not supposed to forget. But try to at least try to press on. Try to forgive predators, not for them, for you, so that you can live life the way that you want to live life and give a normalized life to children of yours or other people around you, okay? That is the T. This is a very serious thing in the nation that we live in. This is a serious problem. So many people have been through this. Somebody's going through this right now. So many millions of people is going through that right now, and they need help. And if you know somebody who is going through that and you see the signs in them, your approach on how you talk to them have to be correct. Okay. You got to be a person to listen to understand and not just listen to respond. A lot of people just listen to respond. A lot of people don't know how to listen to actually process and understand. You are only listening to respond. When you deal with people of that level of trauma and those levels, you have to listen to understand before you respond. You also got to be a person of empathy. If this is not you, you need to learn, because, honey, you should not have to be in somebody else's shoes to understand what it is he or she goes through. That should not be something that you have to actually be living to understand somebody else's struggles, somebody else's trauma. You shouldn't have to necessarily be in his or her shoes to understand how he or she feels. So if you lack empathy, find empathy somewhere within. This is your girl Midnight. On that level, y'all make sure y'all share the live. Make sure that y'all react to the live. And this is very informative information. It's all the facts. It's true. Y'all got to be more understanding to people who has been rape victims, who has been victims of molestation. Stop trying to tell another motherfucker story. Stop trying to tell another motherfucker that what they said they went through, they didn't go through. Because if you're not in their homes 24/7, if you're not under surveillance with them 24/7, you cannot tell his or her story as to what happened to them. Most people are not waking up in the morning wanting things like that to happen to them. But if you are not living in somebody's household, you do not live there, you are not surveillancing them, supervising them, watching their every move, then you cannot say that his or her story is incorrect and yours is right. Because how the fuck would you know when you don't live there? How the fuck would you know if you taking word to mouth from another motherfucker you don't know? Because how the fuck do they know? See, I like to go down that kind of narrative with people and ask those type questions when it comes to that. Because see, where you get your line of information from and where the fuck did they get it from? Because if they didn't get it from the predator himself admitting to doing it, then and it would be fucked up if they did because they didn't do shit about the information when they learned it. If they did have that kind of information and the motherfucker ran down to them and said, yeah, well, I did XYZ to XYZ and you didn't open your mouth, then what kind of motherfucker are you? But if you were not growing up in a household with a motherfucker, you did not live there, you cannot tell another motherfucker story. I'm sorry, you just cannot. That is the live. Y'all end up having a good day. Midnight gonna do her. I gotta work tonight. So I'm gonna get a quick nap in, may not, but still share the live. Okay? Make sure you share the live. Let these people get this up off of them. Let them tell their stories. Can't nobody tell their stories better than them. And I don't take lightly when somebody say that they've been molested or raped. I don't even question that fact because they know what happens to them. And like I said, if your ass was not there and you did not live in the house with them and you weren't able to watch the man and his every motherfucking move, you don't know what the fuck took place. You don't know what happened. So who the fuck are you to say what happened in that manner, in that order? Y'all be easy.